Well, hi there, welcome to the Spin Room. Thanks for clicking on this video. I'm going to be really honest with you guys. I'm having a hard time keeping track of all these wars. Something I learned not even in grad school, but all the way back in preschool was that war is usually bad, but sometimes necessary. At least that's what I was taught. And now we are currently in the middle of a completely unnecessary war with Iran, and now, a completely unnecessary trade war with Canada. Wow, the no new war guy sure seems to really like wars. Hey, wait a minute, is he a liar? All right, so C-SPAN reached out to their viewers and asked them what they think of the US-Canada trade war, and the answers were non-ambiguous, to say the least. In fact, we're going to hear from a Democrat, then we're going to hear from a Republican, and then we're going to check in on Donald Trump to see what he's doing to address these concerns from both political parties.
Let's go straight to phones to Doug in Ohio, independent line. Good morning, Doug. Doug, are you there?
Doug?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, yes. Go ahead, Doug.
I'm just saying I'm an American, hardworking, paying citizen, and the tariffs are going to kill the American worker. I can already tell. They're going to hurt our economy. And I feel the same way that the Doug in Canada feels about Donald Trump. He's about the biggest idiot ever made. And I just want you to know that, and I think that's just how I feel about it, because this trade war, we lost in Iran. We're going to lose this trade war. What is his problem? And he wants to build a gosh darn throne room. He calls it a ballroom, but it's his own throne room, and I don't like any of it from this man that we got as president. He's an idiot, and he's going to cause nothing but trouble. Thank you very much.
This is Max in Tallahassee, Florida, Republican line. Good morning, Max.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Go right ahead, Max.
Thank you. I mean, right now, I think what we need to focus on primarily is Trump's tactics on trade now compared to his first term, where his aggressiveness seemed to kind of yield results, whereas now I think nobody really buys it anymore. I think everybody's just like, no, you're not going to really do anything. And frankly, I just find it all to be very disappointing that not even he seems to realize that, and he's just embarrassing himself.
So
it sucks.
Yeah.
Everything's expensive.
So what would you want to happen? Would you want him to follow through on his threats instead of kind of pulling back?
I would say that. I mean, of course, I think they shouldn't have made the threats to begin with, but we can't go back. I would say that I kind of just wanted to pull back, yeah, because I think he's just going to keep going. No, I'm not going to go through until they go through, and they're never going to go through.
All right.
Well, there you have it. You have a Republican and a Democrat uniting in their disdain over the US-Canada trade war, another completely unnecessary war. I will take issue, however, with the first guy who called Trump an idiot. Would an idiot be able to triple their net worth after taking office the second time? You don't have to answer that. Using pump and dump crypto scheme? Well, yeah, actually, maybe an idiot could do it that way. So maybe he's right. I also really like calling it a throne room instead of a ballroom. I've also seen people spell it like B-A''A'-L room, like the pagan god, kind of in reference to the sacrificial rituals that they do or will be doing it in there. You can take whatever insult you want with it, pick your poison, I guess. But let's go ahead and check in now with Donald Trump, because surely he is taking the concerns of the American people seriously and not prioritizing himself or industry titans. Let's find out.
So this is Lake Ontario in Canada and in the United States. But we're going to make a little change. We're going to call it something different than Lake Ontario. We're going to call it Lake America. And all it takes is a good pen and some intelligence.
Yep.
So Lake Ontario, that's gone. Lake America.
You got it. C-A.
So now we have a lake, and now we have a Gulf, because we have the Gulf of America, now we have Lake America without the of. Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy Lake America.
Just look, I mean, look at him. Like, what? Let me know in the comments what eye you think is looking at the camera. Anyway, that is arguably the most powerful person in the world. Once again, not taking the concerns of U.S. citizens seriously at all. Now, all of this ultimately comes down to concerns around Canada loosening restrictions on a particular kind of car. It's made in China. It's made by a company called BYD, and it's an electric vehicle. And the reason that it's such a threat is because these cars are kind of incredible. They essentially leapfrog over a lot of the previous concerns people have had about electric vehicles, myself included, like around charging time, around how well they hold up in winter climates. And so by loosening restrictions on these cars, Canada is essentially giving them a massive testing ground to be able to see if they're as great as they seem, because the other thing about these cars is they're like 10,000 US dollars. And so if they were to be sold here, it would potentially decimate the auto industry. But why is that? Well, part of the reason is because a country called China actually subsidized BYD and actually helped them with the creation of this car, which is interesting because it's as if China understands at least that we are headed toward a world of electric vehicles, okay? And the United States doesn't. We are absolutely, we've fetishized fossil fuels. In fact, you can look up the term petromasculinity if you want to learn more about it. I think that was a term coined back in 2018, and it combines this sort of like fantasy of the American past with the reliance on fossil fuels. Like it sort of it meshes together fossil fuels with the idea of being a big, strong man. And also, this is about neoliberal policies, which really took off in the 80s, started in the late 70s, and you can see as a result of those how the amount that, you know, American workers have produced has continued to skyrocket, while the amount they've been compensated for has stayed stagnant, right? So we've had 50 years of those policies because the idea was, hey, with neoliberalism, you just cut all these corporations loose. Maybe you have to cut a social safety net in the process, but everything will eventually trickle down and everybody will be happy. Again, we've had these policies for 50 years, and I don't know about you, I'm not seeing a lot of trickling going on these days. Also, that economic system used to be called horse and sparrow, because the idea was that you would feed oats to the horse and the sparrow would quite literally eat the feces of the horse. So for some reason, they changed it to trickle down economics. But we've been doing it for a while, to the point that I think a lot of folks don't even realize it. We've been like frogs slowly boiling in water, unaware that our leaders have not been thinking about the future. In fact, you can see that even more so with topping $40 trillion in national debt and saddling future generations with that debt, and then saddling them with medical debt and saddling them with student debt, and making sure that the middle class feels more and more pressure so that the people at the top feel as good as possible. There's no vision going on here, and so Trump is going, don't you dare, we're going to put tariffs on you, we're going to punish you for letting some company with a vision for the future come into your market, because if they get over here, it's going to be really bad for shareholders and our own short-term profits, because we don't have the capability of thinking about the future or about future generations like other countries might. For example, China takes AI and they use it to invest in their infrastructure, to improve their infrastructure. We don't do that. We have AI that's owned by about 4 techno-feudal billionaire overlords who want to usher in the apocalypse so that they can create the world from scratch. Like, two different visions, okay? And I'm not saying one is entirely good or one is entirely bad, but the situation we're in right now is not just Trump. And when people are frustrated with him, I think it's important to remember that he is part of a half century of this kind of garbage that is now, I think, coming to a head. And I don't know that people are going to be able to take it for much longer. It's also why I don't believe all the scaremongering of socialism and communism is going to hit the way it did 50 years ago before these policies were put into motion. When the economy was doing great and everybody everybody was scared of socialism and communism, that made a lot more sense during Red Scare times. We also had a top marginal tax rate of like 93% or something. So we had a great booming economy, and then people were like, oh yeah, we don't want to like change anything. Of course not. We don't feel that way anymore. I don't know anybody who does, at least. I don't know anybody besides folks who grew up during that time who still think we're in that time, who actually want to continue down this path. Obviously, that is an older generation. We also have a gerontocracy, and so we have elected officials who grew up during that time. It was also a time of massive propaganda, which we don't need to get into right now. We've covered it on other videos, but feel free to check those out. So anyway, point being, this is going back to the Republicans' point there. I don't think anybody buys this anymore, and I don't think Trump realizes that he is essentially embarrassing himself. And that maybe is the only silver lining we can find in this. Watching him with a marker once again do something stupid. I've never heard the phrase without the of. Really love that. He had to explain that Gulf of America, like he's like a little boy. He's, you know, who's got like a globe, and he's like, this is this, and he's going to go for like a peninsula next. Oh, you know what I bet he'll go for next? We have a gulf, a lake. Maybe he'll go for like a strait, you know, maybe like a strait of Hormuz, which is causing bottlenecks and also impacting things like fertilizer, because that comes from fossil fuels, which is in turn again causing food prices to soar. So this isn't just about reputational stuff. This is also about a cascading effect that's going to result in years and years and years of damage, and it's going to take years and years to actually fix it, which is why in the midterms people should probably not vote for the no new wars guy. Anyway, I'm Elliott Morgan. This is the Spin Room. I'll see you next time.